2 years ago, I starved myself delivering takeout. I worked myself to death to scrape together enough money to cure Shun Qingshue's terminal illness. But she turned around and went to a hotel with Chunze. In a fit of rage, I grabbed a brick and beat that Chunze half to death. I never expected him to actually be a rich kid, the son of the boss at Shun Qingshue's company. He sued me for intentional injury. But in court, Shun Qingxue didn't say a single word. I was ultimately convicted of intentional injury, sentenced to 2 years in prison. My family also had to pay $500,000 in medical compensation. Afterwards, Shun Qingxue told me pitifully, Chunze's family is rich and powerful. She couldn't afford to offend them. She was threatened, so she didn't dare to tell the truth. She even said she'd wait for me, and we'd get married when I got out. But after I suffered through 2 agonizing years, my family told me my girlfriend Shun Qingxue had already married someone else, and the groom was none other than Chunze. How ironic. From start to finish, I was played for a fool. For Shun Qingxue, I spent 2 years in prison for nothing. At this moment, I secretly swore in my heart, Chunze, Shun Qingxue, just you wait. These 2 years of false imprisonment, I will definitely get my revenge. I turned and went back home. My family originally ran a small clinic. My dad is an old Chinese medicine doctor and trained me from a young age. He planned for me to take over, but he never expected this whole mess to happen. To pay Chunze's $500,000 medical compensation, my family sold everything they could. However, my parents still prepared a table full of food for me. Suddenly, a red Porsche 911 roared up and stopped right at my front door. She opened her mouth and yelled, "Jiang Yiqian, get in. I have something to tell you." I looked at her in surprise. I don't even know this beautiful girl. Why would I go with you? The beauty just raised her hand and slapped something onto me. Go save your wife. I'm just asking, are you going or not? As soon as she said this, my whole family was stunned. When did I get a wife? I looked down at what the beauty slapped on me. My pupils instantly shrank. The thing on me was a red Joker playing card. This was Old Master's signal. Old Master was a very strange guy. You could say he was my cellmate. He was often bullied in prison. One time I couldn't stand watching it anymore and stood up for him. Since then, we became friends. Old Master once said he owed me a favor and would repay me in the future by helping me with 3 things. After 3 times, we'd be even. I didn't think much of it at the time. I just thought he was joking around. Who would have thought that after Old Master got out? He did the first thing for me. He gave me a crumpled old book and told me to study it well. He even said it was something passed down from his ancestors. As for the other 2 things, I'd only find out after I got out. When I opened the first page of this book, the words Qingnong book were written clearly on it. This thing is worthless to anyone else, but to those studying Chinese medicine, it's a supreme treasure. Legend has it that Cao Cao suffered from headaches back then and asked the divine doctor Hua Tuo to treat him. Hua Tuo proposed doing brain surgery on Cao Cao. As a result, Cao Cao was furious, claiming Hua Tuo wanted to murder him under the guise of friendship, and threw him in the dungeon. Before his death, Hua Tuo didn't want his skills to be lost. He gave his life's work, the Qingnong book, to the prison guard. The kind-hearted prison guard. Now the second thing is actually giving me a wife. But since she came to my door to invite me, I couldn't really refuse. I said bye to my parents and got into the beauty's car. When we got there, I realized it was Shengshe Real Estate, the most famous real estate company in Linjiang City. And right now, at the door of the Yi family, a middle-aged couple was already waiting there. As soon as they saw us get out of the car, the middle-aged man immediately stepped forward and said, "Wan Wan, didn't I ask you to invite a divine doctor? Is he here?" Yedanyan Pursit Harips. It's him. The old couple was overjoyed. They turned to look at me. Isn't this just a clueless kid? They suddenly pulled Yi Wan Wan aside and whispered, "Wan Wan, did you make a mistake? How could the divine doctor Jiang be this young?" Yi Wan Wan was also near tears. "Mom, is the divine Dr. Jiang you guys talked about? I just followed the address you gave me." The old couple looked at each other, feeling very helpless. But quickly, the middle-aged man smiled, stepped forward, and introduced himself. "Young man, I am Yi Shouting. Yes, the Yi Shouting from the real estate company. Yes, yes. This is my wife, Phone Wanting." I politely said hello. Haha, Phone Wanting forced a fake smile. As a way of greeting, Yi Shouting looked at me, his face full of doubt. "May I be so bold as to ask your esteemed father's name?" Yi Shouting had to investigate thoroughly. Treating an illness is no joke, especially when it's treating his own daughter. Jiang Xuanqing. I stated my father's name without hesitation. The moment I said that, Yishatin Chokit. Never heard of this guy. Could it be I'm just ignorant? Yuan quickly chimed in. Just let him try. I feel like this kid might actually know a thing or two. Yishaoting, sighed El Plisli, fine. Let's treat a dead horse as a living one. After saying that, he invited me inside. After going in, I realized something was off. It's summer right now. Even though it's raining outside, it's not cold. But inside this villa, not only is the heater on, there are also a lot of space heaters. When we entered the boudoir in the back, this scorching heat was even stronger. At this moment, a melodious voice like a lark rang out, Wan. I'm so cold. Can you add another blanket? Hearing this, I was stunned. Following the voice, I looked over. I saw an unbelievably beautiful, frail girl, sitting in a wheelchair, wrapped up in thick blankets. Even though only her face was showing, that breathtakingly gorgeous face was still stunning. Could this really be my wife? I pretended to be calm and walked over. Beauty, can I check your pulse? The Yi family's eldest daughter in the wheelchair nodded her head and then shakily raised her hand. After I took her pulse, I couldn't help but frown. Yuan, seeing this from the side, her heart skipped a beat. She asked nervously, is my sister's condition serious? I nodded. Just like that, the Yi family's hearts instantly sank to the bottom. What exactly is wrong with my sister? Yuan frowned and asked. Her condition is very serious. It's a type of cold poison that has invaded her body and entered her bones. If I'm not mistaken, the eldest miss hasn't been able to stand up for a long time. And whenever the weather changes, her whole body turns freezing cold, right? After I said this, the entire Yi family nodded in confirmation once again. It seems this kid may be young, but he still has some skills. Yidanyan Vavit Headhunt. I hate all these long-winded explanations. I don't care about the process. I just want the result. Can you actually cure this illness or not? I can cure it, but there's a prerequisite, and it's quite troublesome. After I said this, Yishatin Froze then replied, are the herbs hard to get? Divine Dr. Jiang, don't worry. I won't say our Yi family's wealth rivals a nation, but we still have some money and connections. Just go ahead and write the prescription. Uncle Yi, you misunderstood. How should I put this about her illness? She has to marry me. Only then can I treat her. Jiang Yichen's voice wasn't loud, but to the Yi family, it was a bombshell. Before this, when the Yi family found the old man, the old master had said at the time, this illness could only be cured by divine Dr. Jiang. But if they wanted it cured, the Yi family's eldest daughter would have to devote herself to him. In order to cure his eldest daughter, Yi Shouting had to vaguely agree first, figuring he'd trick divine Dr. Jiang into coming here first. After all, his Yi family has money. By then, they might just be able to pay him off. He never thought that I myself would say the same thing right now. Didn't that mean there was no room for negotiation? Yevanyan gritet hertit in enguv. She glared fiercely at me and cursed. You fake divine doctor. You really are just kicking us when we're down. Taking advantage of my sister. Can't we just give you money? This isn't a matter of money. Mainly, during the treatment, I also have to endure the cold poison. Before I could finish speaking, phone wanting interrupted from the side. Dr. Jiang, you're thinking too much. This is my first time hearing a doctor has to endure a patient's pain. From the very beginning, she was against finding this young doctor. Now hearing what I had to say, she felt even more strongly that this guy was just a quack. After all, there are plenty of people who use treating illness as an excuse to trick girls out of their innocence. He Shouting stood by silently. He gritted his teeth, walked up to me, and said, Divine Dr. Jiang, before you came, old master already talked to me. If you can really cure my daughter, I don't mind taking you in as a son-in-law. But the prerequisite is you have to cure her first. Yi Shouting was very smart. Coaxed me into curing his daughter first. And when it's done, just give me money. If it wasn't for the fact they'd been to every major hospital to no avail, and only this one person said he could cure her, would the dignified boss of Shengshi Real Estate stoop to lying? But I refused, still sticking to those same words. Cure the illness, get married first. It's not that I'm really shameless, insisting on being thick-skinned and taking advantage of their misfortune to become the Yi family's son-in-law. It's just that during her treatment, first, she'd have to take off her clothes. Many acupoints all over her body need to be pierced. During that treatment process, the Yi family's eldest miss definitely couldn't wear clothes. Secondly, Jiang Yichen had to suck the poison out for her, transferring the cold poison into my own body. This process is extremely dangerous. The slightest mistake, Jiang Yiqin could even lose his own life. If she isn't my own wife, who would risk their life to do this? Of course, it was hard for me to explain. After all, the Yi family had already formed a preconceived notion, thinking I was just a bad guy taking advantage of their crisis. If I actually told them this bizarre treatment plan, the Yi family would probably only despise me even more. Feng Wanting, standing aside, couldn't watch any longer, shouting, "Let's not beg him, we'll find someone else. I don't believe that no one else can cure this cold poison." Yi shouting looked at his eldest daughter, Wanqing. "What do you think? If I have to marry someone I don't like, I'd rather not treat this illness. Now I've become Zhu Beiji, looking in the mirror, not a man inside or out. So I simply cupped my hands and said, I was too presumptuous. Farewell." Unexpectedly, the sound of footsteps rang out from outside the door at this moment. A man's voice called out, "Uncle, there's a cure for Wanqing's illness." As soon as he spoke, a handsome guy in a suit walked in. Looking at him, the Yi family seemed exceptionally enthusiastic. This person's name was Yi Feng. Yi Feng's father had a good relationship with the Yi family, especially in business. He had liked Yi Wanqing since they were kids, and the Yi family had always wanted him to be their son-in-law. Now hearing him say this, Feng Wanting immediately stepped forward and grabbed his hand. "Yi Feng, is what you're saying true? Is there a cure for Wanqing's illness?" Yi Feng simulated and exaggeratedly said, "You don't know. I pulled a lot of strings, and finally managed to invite the divine Dr. Chun from Xanadu. He already promised to come over in a bit to check on Wanqing." Divine Dr. Chun Bianc from Xanadu. Upon hearing that this divine doctor was stepping in, the Yi family's faces were instantly filled with smiles. The family's glares towards me became even more disgusted. Feng Wanting was incredibly impatient. Pointing directly at my nose, she cursed, "You quack. Why are you still in my house? Get out right now. You really make me sick." Yi Wanwan felt a little embarrassed. After all, she was the one who brought me here. She immediately hurried over, waved her hand impatiently, shooing me away like a fly. "Hurry up and leave. You're really annoying." Seeing the ugly faces of this family, Jiang Yiqin felt helpless too. He let out a sigh. He took out a small bottle from his pocket and placed it on the table. Turning to Yi Wanwan, he said, "If something goes wrong, you can give Wanqing this pill. It should hold her over for about 3 days." After saying that, I smiled slightly, turned around, and left the Yi family's house. Just as I walked out the door, Yi Feng immediately grabbed the small bottle on the table and threw it straight into the trash can. At the same time, a Buick drove up. After the car door opened, an old man stepped out of the car. He happened to see me. We exchanged a glance and brushed past each other. Compared to the cold and sarcastic remarks I endured, the old man received the highest level of courtesy. After all, he's Chen Biang from Xanadu. The Yi family respectfully welcomed him inside. Chen Biang took Yi Wanqing's pulse and checked her eyelids, finally diagnosing it as a cold illness. Yi Shouting hurriedly asked how the illness should be treated. Chen Biang was very calm, asserting she'd be fully recovered after taking medicine for 3 days. After saying that, he wrote a prescription and told them to get the medicine. He instructed that if there were any other symptoms later, just give him a call. Then he left the Yi house. The Yi family respectfully escorted him out. Then they had the family servants quickly brew the medicine for Yi Wanqing to drink. Seeing Yi Wanqing's complexion starting to turn rosy, and her no longer feeling cold, everyone finally let out a sigh of relief. They told Wanqing to rest well. Then everyone left the room together. The whole family looked at Yi Feng. Feng Wanting liked him more the more she looked at him. She stepped forward, held Yi Feng's hand, and thanked him. "Fenger, it's all thanks to you. If you hadn't brought divine Dr. Chun, our Wanqing would have been in danger." Yi Feng also smiled and replied, "It was the least I could do. Uncle, Auntie, I will protect Wanqing." Hearing this, Feng Wanting couldn't stop grinning. She nudged Yi Shouting. "Before you were saying, whoever cured Wanqing would marry them." Shouting, Yi Feng actually did it. Yi Shouting was slightly taken aback, then laughed heartily. All right. Once Wanqing recovers, you two will get married immediately." The family was happy and harmonious. Unfortunately, the happiness didn't last long. They suddenly heard, from inside the room, Yi Wanqing let out a miserable, piercing scream. The Yi family was terrified and rushed frantically into Yi Wanqing's room, only to see Yi Wanqing's face full of agony. Her face would go pale, then red, rolling around on the bed in pain. Yi Shouting yelled anxiously, Wanqing, what's wrong? Bean-sized drops of sweat continuously poured down Yi Wanqing's face. Just as she opened her mouth to answer, the severe pain rushed to her head. Her head tilted to the side. She passed out from the excruciating pain. Yi Wanwan, seeing this, instantly turned pale with fright. Gripping Yi Feng's hand tightly, Sister, how could this happen? Yi Feng was completely panicked right now, too. He ran out to make a call. Soon, Chen Bianc rushed back to the Yi house. The Yi family instantly felt like they had found their backbone and crowded around him. After Chen Bianc finished his examination, he could only secretly click his tongue, mumbling repeatedly, strange. This little old man had practiced medicine for so many years, but had never seen this kind of pulse. What do you mean? The Yi family asked in unison. Chen Bianc felt extremely awkward. I'm afraid you need to prepare for the funeral. At this point, Yi Shouting almost lost it. Grabbing this guy by the collar, he cursed straight to his face. You prescribed the medicine. You said there was no problem. How can you tell us to prepare for her funeral now? Chen Bianc was also in a tough spot. Besides, this illness was an incurable disease to begin with. Dragging it out until now, her life force is almost completely drained. Quack! You quack! After saying that, Yi Shouting pushed Chen Bianc out forcefully. Chen Bianc was very helpless. He had never seen this type of pulse before, and didn't know how to treat it, so he could only quietly slip away. Meanwhile, the Yi family was already crying out in grief. Suddenly, Yu Wanwan thought of my words. If her sister didn't get treatment, she only had 3 days to live at most. Thinking of this, Yu Wanwan rushed straight to the trash can. Regardless of whether it was dirty inside or not, she directly started digging through it. Very quickly, Yi Wanwan found a small medicine bottle I left behind. She darted over to Yi Wanqing and immediately fed the pill to Wanqing. Soon, Yi Wanqing's complexion began to improve. After a while, she fell into a deep sleep. Yi Shouting asked curiously, Wanwan, what medicine did you give Wanqing? I gave her the medicine the divine Dr. Jiang gave us earlier to eat. Yi Wanwan felt a little awkward. Seeing that Wanqing had improved, Yi Shouting also couldn't wait to ask. This actually seems to be working. Did divine Dr. Jiang say anything else before he left? This question actually reminded Yi Wanwan. Her face changed. She gritted her teeth in pain. He told me to remember to give her the medicine, and said my sister only had 3 days left to live. If we don't sustain this last breath, even Hua Tuo couldn't save her. Yi Shouting was dumbfounded. Was I really the only one who could cure her? But to get him to treat her, I have to marry my daughter to him. Even if he didn't want it in his heart, he couldn't just watch his daughter die. Gritting his teeth, he replied, go get cash. He can have as much money as he wants. I refuse to believe there's a problem money can't solve. The next day, a Maybach sped recklessly through the city center and quickly arrived in front of a small motel. Divine Dr. Jiang, please hurry and save my daughter. My daughter is in the hospital right now. She's dying. The person who came was none other than Yi Wanqing's dad. Yi Shouting. I looked at him and curled my lips. I knew this guy would come. Aside from me, who else could cure this cold poison? Seeing him bowing and apologizing so profusely, I still decided to go to the hospital with him. At this moment, Yi Wanqing was lying on a hospital bed, looking incredibly weak, having just experienced a round of torturous pain. Seeing me arrive, the Yi family hurriedly crowded around. Divine Dr. Jiang, please take a look at my daughter quickly. Seeing how anxious they were, I found it a bit amusing. I told you all earlier. You didn't believe me and even kicked me out. When I said this, Yi Wanwan and Feng Wanting blushed with shame. I pointed at Yi Wanqing on the bed. I can treat her, but she has to marry me. After saying that, the whole group froze completely. Yi Wanqing, who couldn't move, also widened her eyes, glaring at me with contempt. If you guys won't agree to my terms, there's nothing I can do. Let's leave it at that. Farewell. Jiang Yiqin turned his head and walked away. Yi Shouting immediately panicked and shouted out, Divine Dr. Jiang, please wait. Have some mercy and save my daughter. I'll give you however much money you want. If that really won't do, I'll trade half of Shengshi Real Estate's empire with you. All right. Feng Wanting and Yi Wanwan widened their eyes upon hearing this. Letting this country doctor treat her. Shouting, are you crazy? Feng Wanting screamed. Yi Shouting shot his wife a look and roared, do you have a better idea? Or are you saying we just shouldn't treat our daughter's illness? Yi Wanqing closed her eyes in pain. She knew very well that Shengshi Real Estate was her father's life's work. Was he really going to give half of it away for her? Thinking of this, she weakly opened her mouth and helplessly forced out the words, "I'll marry." After she said this sentence, tears immediately flowed down her face. It was a kind of resentment, a kind of humiliation, but to protect the Shengshi group. Yevonming compromisit. She closed her eyes in despair. Yuan stared at me with hatred. Clenching her fists tightly, she practically gritted her teeth and said, "Taking advantage of people's misfortune. You're going to get struck by lightning. Fine. You've got your way now, so hurry up and treat her." Yuanqing's mother, Feng Wanting, also stared at me helplessly. At this very moment, she wanted nothing more than to skin me alive. The treatment is very troublesome. It's a long-term process. I'll treat her first. The first session will relieve her pain. Saying this, I turn to look at all of them. Irrelevant personnel, please wait outside. Soon, only Yuanqing and I were left in the entire hospital room. She gritted her teeth, her face red. "Do it, but I'm warning you. If you try anything funny, I definitely won't let you off." I smiled, set down my box, and calmly pulled out my silver needles from inside. There are quite a few places to place the needles. Through clothing, it probably won't be accurate. What? Are you messing with me? Treating an illness requires taking off clothes? Go to hell. I'm not getting treated. Sorry, but that's not up to you. After saying that, I just raised my hand and flicked something at the back of her neck. A silver needle shot straight out on the spot and hit her acupoint precisely. With her acupoint struck, Yuanqing was instantly immobilized. Her eyes widened in panic. I was expressionless, reached out my hand directly, and placed it right on the button on her chest. But unexpectedly, with a ripping sound, the clothes came straight off. Just as Yuanqing tried to open her mouth to speak, I raised my hand like doing a magic trick, grabbed the silver needles one after another, and snap, 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 inserted them all into Yuanqing's acupoints. Yuanqing felt both ashamed and furious. But I saw what I was supposed to see, and I saw what I wasn't supposed to see. She simply gritted her teeth, her face red, and let me do my work. After she relaxed, she slowly started to feel her body getting hot and burning. This warm current kept converging, as if taking that deep coldness inside her body and dispelling it little by little. Soon, Wanqing's body no longer felt that cold. The acupuncture actually worked. This quack actually has some skills, she thought to herself. She quietly narrowed her eyes and shot a glance at me. And this made Yuanqing even more surprised. My forehead was covered in massive drops of sweat. My whole body was already drenched, but my eyes were fixated dead on her. Yet there wasn't a trace of lust in them, to the point that Yuanqing doubted for a moment. Was her figure not good enough? This guy didn't have any reaction at all. After this thought popped up, even she herself felt her face blushing hotly. Maybe he's a good guy. Inside Yuanqing's mind, just as this weird thought appeared, I poked one finger, straight onto her sensitive lower belly. Yuanqing's face flushed crimson, and just as she was about to cuss me out. But the next second, her little cherry lips were directly sealed shut by mine. This guy, she literally just thought he was a good person, and he actually took advantage of me being immobilized to steal my first kiss. Yuanqing was fuming with rage. She opened her mouth and bit down hard on my lip. I also frowned in pain, quickly stood up and touched my bleeding lip. I didn't say anything either. Silently pulled out the silver needles, then pulled her clothes back up, turned my head, clutching my chest, and stumbled out step by step. With a creak, the door opened. Outside was the nervous-looking Yi family. They looked at me and shouted directly, "How is my daughter? How is she?" I covered my mouth, waved my hand, and silently walked out. I walked to the emergency stairwell, couldn't hold it back anymore, and spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. The moment the blood hit the floor, it actually gave off a freezing chill. Right after, my legs gave out. I collapsed straight onto the ground, slumped against the wall, passing out cold. Meanwhile, inside the hospital room, Wanqing, are you feeling any better? Ye Vanming, thinking about the massive humiliation she just suffered. She couldn't hold it in anymore. She hopped right out of the hospital bed and yelled, "That little punk took advantage of me. I'm gonna go settle the score with him." What? Feng Wanting and Yi Wanwan were both stunned. I knew it. That little punk isn't a divine doctor at all. Wanwan, quick, go after him. Don't let that scumbag get away. Yi Wanwan turned around and was just about to chase after him. Wait, Yi shouting at this critical moment, suddenly shouted out, pointing at Yi Wanqing in surprise. Wanqing, you can actually stand up now. Am I dreaming? Yi Wanqing was thrilled, looked down, and looked at her pair of beautiful, long, slender legs. Oh my God, I really stood up. Before, this was something I didn't even dare to dream of. And now it's actually become reality. But sister, that kid really cured you. Doesn't that mean you have to marry him? The family, which was originally overjoyed, heard this, and everyone's expressions changed. Yi Wanqing slumped dejectedly back onto the bed, holding her head in frustration. Marry my ass. Just now, it was a matter of life and death. We were forced to agree. Now that I'm cured, why should I honor the promise? Yi Shouting was a little embarrassed. Doing business, he valued integrity the most. Now, actually going back on his word, wouldn't he be a laughingstock? Phone Wanting directly pushed Yi Shouting. Once, old man, what are you thinking about? This is your biological daughter. Are you really going to make her marry a broke doctor? It's not that I absolutely want to force our daughter to marry him. It's just that if we don't keep our word, if word gets out, it'll really make our Yi family lose face. Just give him some hush money and be done with it. It's not like we're not giving him money. Besides, so what if word gets out? Who doesn't spend money to see a doctor? Who ever heard of giving away a daughter to cure an illness? Phone Wanting said in dissatisfaction. Yi Wanwan also agreed. Only Yi Wanqing felt very depressed. She felt a little stifled. Her innocent body was seen by someone. Her first kiss was also taken by that kid. And now they were going to back out of the deal. So awkward. But to say she felt absolutely nothing at all, marrying him just like that felt really uncomfortable. Right at this moment, looking haggard, I woke up and stumbled back into the hospital room. I looked at this family. Stunned for a moment, I asked, "You could get out of bed now?" The Yi family was all stunned, looking very unnatural and awkward. Only Yi Wanqing sighed and nodded. "You really do have some skills. I'm fully recovered, right? That's good. So when are we getting married?" I was practically bringing up the very thing they didn't want to talk about. The family remained silent, looking at each other. "Divine Dr. Jiang, we are truly grateful to you for curing our Wanqing. How about this? Our family will fund a clinic for you. What do you say?" "Mom, no need. I'll make my own money to open a clinic in the future." My calling her mom made Phone Wanting's face twitch. She said awkwardly, "Just now my daughter was in too much pain, so we had no choice but to agree to your request. But you can see for yourself. Wanqing is an educated and reasonable young lady from a wealthy family. She can't endure hardship, and you're just a poor kid from the countryside. It's best you know your place. Don't be a toad lusting after swan meat. You catch my drift, right?" After Phone Wanting said this, I couldn't help but laugh out loud at that. Before this, I almost lost my life trying to save hers. Now, they were actually calling off the wedding, actually treating me like a monkey to be played with. Phone Wanting shamelessly continued, "Don't worry. We won't mistreat you. How about 100,000 yuan for your consultation fee?" Yi Shouting didn't say a word either. He instantly became a mute. "Dr. Jiang, don't say we're not playing fair. You yourself were taking advantage of our crisis. Who requires someone to devote their body to them in exchange for medical treatment? Since you pulled this trick, why couldn't we lie to you? How about this? I'll add another 50,000 for you. Think about it carefully. How long would you have to treat patients to earn 150,000? Phone Wanting kept yapping endlessly like a barking dog, but I couldn't listen to a single word of it. Finally, I waved my hand and said, "Stop talking. I don't need your money. Since Miss Yi is fine now, I'll take my leave." After saying that, I clutched my chest, gritted my teeth, turned around, and left. Yi Wanqing looked at my back, feeling a bit unbearable. "Wait, if you think 150,000 is too little, we'll double it for you. 300,000. How about that?" Phone Wanting's eyes bulged, her face full of disbelief. "What? Wanqing, are you crazy? He just poked you a few times and took advantage of you. And you're giving him 300,000? Mom, he really did cure me. Other doctors were totally helpless, weren't they?" I didn't turn back. Just said lightly, "No need. I'll figure out a way to make money myself. I haven't fully cured your illness. It's just suppressed for now. Farewell." After saying that, I swaggered off. The family instantly froze right there. Yi Shouting was the most anxious. He hurriedly shouted and wanted to chase after me. Phone Wanting beside him panicked, quickly stopping Yi Shouting. "What are you doing? Didn't you hear what he said? This illness is only temporarily suppressed. It might erupt again later." Phone Wanting rolled her eyes, walked straight up, and poked Yi Shouting's forehead. "Have you gone senile? We don't even know if what he's saying is true. This kid has been extorting us from the very beginning, insisting on marrying Wanqing. But we're not stupid. We tricked him. So out of anger, he purposely beat us at our own game, to make us go back and beg him again. Isn't that completely obvious? Yuan also nodded in agreement, turned her head to look at her sister. Sister, tell the truth. When that kid was treating you, did he take the opportunity to take advantage of you? Ye Vanming froze, then lowered her head. Her pretty face flushed red, looking down silently. So he did. Ye Yanyan konjudit. Such a perverted person. He's very likely really just lying to us, just to get my sister to marry him. While the Yi family was still discussing this at the hospital, I had already returned to my own stall and started doing acupuncture on myself. I also brewed a pot of Chinese medicine next to me. There was still residual cold poison left inside my body. Clearing it out would take about 10 days. I poured a bowl of medicine, pinched my nose, and chugged it down. Felt much better after drinking it. Packed up to go home and continue spending time with my parents. I thought the days to come would be peaceful and ordinary. But I never expected that the next day, right when I was about to close up my stall, Divine Dr. Chen Bianc would suddenly seek me out. Chen Bianc looked at me with a complex expression. Was it you who cured the Yi family's eldest daughter? I was stunned for a moment and nodded blankly. But Chen Bianc had a face full of confusion. He cupped his hands together. May I be so bold as to ask who your master is? So I told him my father's name, then went back to packing up my stall on my own. The old man repeatedly searched his memories in his mind. But even if he racked his brains, he couldn't figure it out. He had never heard of anyone like this in the traditional Chinese medicine community. Young friend, can we have a chat? I smiled. But I'm about to pack up and head home for dinner. No worries, no worries. This old man is willing to host. I invite you to do me the honor of having dinner together. How about it? I thought about it, and finally nodded in agreement. And so, the two of us sat down at a small restaurant nearby, ordered a few dishes and a pot of wine, and started chatting while we ate. During this conversation, Chen Bianc, intentionally or unintentionally, kept slipping in questions about traditional Chinese medicine. As a result, the more he talked, the more shocked he became. This person was definitely not an ordinary guy. Chen Bianc had practiced medicine for most of his life, with one foot almost in the grave. But regarding some of the treatment methods Jiang Yichen mentioned, he had absolutely never heard of them before. When it came to the best part, the old man couldn't help but slam the table in admiration, clapping nonstop and praising. Amazing. That's amazing. So you can actually treat it this way. After a few glasses of wine, Chen Bianc thought about Yi Wanqing's situation. He was really a bit puzzled. My young friend, with your skills, why worry about not finding a wife? Why coerce the Yi family into this? Chen Bianc stopped just short of saying directly, your character is just too terrible. With such great abilities, are you still afraid of not having a wife? I just gave a bitter smile and didn't answer. Chen Bianc smiled awkwardly, guessing that it might be because I like Yi Wanqing. I gave a bitter smile, grabbed my teacup, took a sip, and said, Elder Chen, there's something you don't know. It's exactly because of my medical ethics that I proposed marrying the eldest Miss Yi. Elder Chen, do you know about cold poison? I've heard of it, but my skills aren't refined enough, so I only have a superficial understanding. Then you definitely don't know how to cure this cold poison. Chen Bianc looked a bit embarrassed. He grabbed his teacup and took a sip. I sighed, held out my hand, and asked, Elder Chen, could you check my pulse? Although he didn't understand why I wanted him to check it, he still did as I asked. But as soon as Chen Bianc felt my pulse, he immediately turned pale with shock. Why are your symptoms so similar to the eldest Miss Yi's? This is a remnant from treating her illness. I nodded, and then explained how to treat the cold poison and the transfer method to him. Hearing this, Chen Bianc blushed beet red, feeling extremely awkward between a man and a woman to actually use such a method for treatment. But after learning the whole truth of the matter, Chen Bianc felt particularly uncomfortable inside. After all, the two of them were neither family nor friends. If it wasn't for their own lover, who could go this far? It's truly sad, lamentable, and pitiful for the Yi family, having such an excellent son-in-law come to their door, yet treating him like a piece of garbage. With this thought in mind, Chen Bianc suddenly felt the desire to recruit this talent. My young friend, what are your plans for the future? I'll just take it one step at a time. I still have some connections. The director of the Linjiang City Traditional Chinese Medicine Hospital is my student. If you're interested, I can introduce you. Never mind, but thank you, Elder Chen. I lost my freedom before, and now I feel pretty good setting up a street stall freely. The more Chen Bianc looked at me, the more he liked me. Capable, eloquent, and so free and easy in his conduct. He became even more determined to recruit me. Chen Bian's eyes darted around, and he immediately said, "My young friend, I have a granddaughter who has studied medicine with me since childhood. She really loves treating illnesses and saving people. I think you two would get along well." The rest of what Chen Bianc wanted to say, he was too embarrassed to continue. The idea was for the two to date for a bit, and eventually recruit Jiang Yichen as a grandson-in-law. But Jiang Yichen had already experienced Shun Qingxue and was a bit heartbroken by women. He had no thoughts of considering marriage for the time being, so he politely declined. Chen Bianc was very sad, feeling like they hadn't met soon enough. The two of them chatted a lot, and finally parted ways reluctantly. When I got back, it was already past 8 p.m. Just as I reached my door, a black Mercedes was parked there. An elegant, long-legged beauty stood with her arms crossed over her chest, leaning against the Mercedes, looking around. I frowned instead. Ye Vanling, why is she at my door? The two of us just stood there looking at each other. Yi Wanqing was a little uncomfortable, her face slightly flushed. "You're back. I've been waiting for you for a long time. What are you here for?" Yi Wanqing opened the car door, and from inside, pulled out a heavy black bag. "I came to bring you money. I don't want to owe you a favor. Just take the money." I felt a bit stung. Honestly speaking, Yi Wanqing was really beautiful. She really made my heart flutter a bit. But he also knew she looked down on him. "No need, Mississippi. Take your money back." I outright rejected Yi Wanqing's money. This instead caused Yi Wanqing to misunderstand. She frowned, earnestly advising, "When it comes to feelings, you can't force things. You saved me, and I'm very grateful. But you should know that gratitude doesn't mean I have to marry you. Understand?" I remained silent. "Take it. Just take it as my thanks to you. Don't leave me feeling uneasy, okay?" Yi Wanqing held the money out again. I took a deep breath, smiled, and said, "Eldest Miss Yi, you're right. Gratitude doesn't mean offering oneself in marriage. But you really don't need to give me money. I've only temporarily suppressed your illness. I haven't cured it. I won't accept an unearned reward. I can't take this money." After saying this, Yi Wanqing froze right there. She thought of her mother and sister. They said this guy was scamming her. But what if he wasn't lying? Yi Wanqing gritted her teeth and thought for a long time, then asked if I relapse, "Will you still save me?" "Saw-thee." "I won't," Jiang Yichen said coldly, turning around and walking toward his house. "Ye van mink stood frozen." "Jiang Yichen, no matter what, I still owe you a favor. If you really don't want the money," Yi Wanqing said, pulling out a business card from her pocket and handing it over. "If you run into any trouble in Linjiang City, you can come to me. I'll definitely help you sort it out." Jiang Yichen stood his ground, looked at the white business card in Yi Wanqing's hand, and curled his lips. "Fine. Then I'll thank you in advance." Jiang Yichen raised his hand and took the card. Yi Wanqing's hanging heart finally settled. She then said goodbye and left. Jiang Yichen looked at the business card in his hand, smiled, shoved it into his pocket, and went home to eat dinner. After Chen Bianc returned home and recalled the events of the day, his head was still spinning. He just couldn't figure it out. Jiang Yichen looked so young. How could he possess such superb medical skills? Right at this moment, a sweet voice rang out, "Grandpa, Liao, while I was out, did you study your medical books properly?" "Of course. I memorized all the medical books inside out." Chun Liao was born into a family of traditional Chinese medicine doctors. Generations of her ancestors had worked in this field. Chen Bianc also had high expectations for his granddaughter, so he was strict with her from a young age, considering her his successor. Usually, Chen Bianc might have chatted with his granddaughter and tested her, but today, no matter how Chen Bianc looked at Chun Liao, she just didn't seem quite right to him. Finally, he could only shake his head helplessly. "Grandpa, what's wrong? Did something happen today?" Chen Bianc sat on the sofa and sighed. "Liao, I met a young man today. His medical skills are incredibly impressive. He actually cured an illness that your grandpa couldn't." "What? Is he a young master from some prestigious family?" Chen Bianc shook his head. "He's just someone who sets up a street stall on Shurian Street. A barefoot doctor." "Right. How is that possible?" "The dignified Chen Bianc from the TCM family of Xanadu. Actually losing to a wandering quack? And from what you're saying, Grandpa, the guy is still very young." Chen Bianc sighed heavily, not saying anything else. He waved his hand, said he was tired, and went back to his room to rest. Chun Liao pouted. How could Grandpa possibly lose? That kid must have used some dirty tricks. "All right," Grandpa said. "He sets up a stall on Shurian Street. I'm going to go see for myself." A few days later, Jiang Yichen went to Shurian Street to set up his stall, as usual. Same old routine, leaning back to lie down and sleep. Suddenly, a few burly men walked right over, stood in front of Jiang Yichen's stall, and asked, "Mr. Jiang Yichen, right?" Jiang Yichen nodded, in confusion. "Our eldest lady has a gift for you." "Your eldest lady?" Jiang Yichen looked at these big men strangely. Soon, two people carried a box and placed it right in front of Jiang Yichen. They didn't say who sent it, turned around, and left. Jiang Yichen's head was buzzing. He opened the box to look. Good Lord, it was full of medical books. None of these were anything special. Just as he was about to throw them into the trash, a good item appeared before his eyes. It was a crumpled, tattered book that had turned yellow and old. The title was 60 Seasonal Illness Prescriptions. Who would send me something this good? Could be Yuan Qing. Thinking of this, Jiang Yichen dug out the business card from before and called her directly. As soon as the call connected, Yuan Qing laughed on the other end. "What got the stuff? Calling to thank me so soon?" Jiang Yichen was very frustrated. "Where did you get so many medical books?" "I bought them." This sentence almost made Jiang Yichen cough up blood. He knew the other books could indeed be bought. After all, he had read them all inside before. They were published materials. But where could she buy these 60 prescriptions? "I'm asking where you got the 60 prescriptions from inside the box." Yuan Qing, not understanding medicine, asked back, "Which book are you talking about?" "The crumpled, very ancient-looking one." "Oh, that one. Yifeng gave it to me." It turned out that after her illness improved, Yifeng wanted to invite her family over to his house. Yuan Qing's mother, Feng Wanting, and Yifeng were distant relatives. As it happened, Feng Wanting wanted Yifeng as a son-in-law. So she immediately brought the whole family over. Yifeng's family was very rich, and his dad loved collecting antiques. The Yi family visited the antique room, marveling at everything, and flattering them nonstop, saying Yifeng's dad was so wealthy and cultured. Yifeng was very proud, and even let Yuan Qing pick anything she wanted as a gift. Yuan Qing really didn't want to owe him a favor, but she couldn't argue with her family's pointed looks. So she randomly picked a tattered book. She figured a tattered book wouldn't be worth much, making it easy to repay in the future. After bringing it home, Yuan Qing casually flipped through it out of boredom, found it was entirely filled with medical prescriptions, and realized it was useless to her. Thinking it over, she planned to give it to Jiang Yichen. So she spent money to buy a bunch of other books and sent them all over together. Hearing that it came from Yifeng, Jiang Yichen did feel a little uncomfortable inside. But thinking about it carefully, what kind of relationship did he have with Yuan Qing anyway? They were childhood sweethearts and cousins. Who did he think he was? Thinking of this, he felt relieved. He said his thanks over the phone and hung up. Then he continued to study the 60 prescriptions until he had memorized it perfectly. Just then, Chun Liao walked over, slammed her hand on the table, and said, "Hey, are you the Jiang Yichen who beat my grandpa?" Jiang Yichen didn't answer, and I didn't move an inch. He merely asked indifferently, "Who is your grandpa?" "My grandpa is Chun Bianc." Chun Liao crossed her arms over her chest, giving an arrogant scoff. Jiang Yichen smiled and kept leaning against the chair, continuing to sleep. Chun Liao felt a bit annoyed. She slapped the table with a smack, stood up, and snatched the medical book off his face. Looking closely, it was the Compendium of Materia Medica. Chun Liao looked at him and said, "Get up, let's go one-on-one." Jiang Yichen placed his hands behind his head, opened one eye, and glanced at her. "How do you want to compete? We'll find a patient and treat them independently. We'll see who can cure them. What do you think?" "Sure, I don't care. But I'm afraid we won't find a suitable patient around here." After Jiang Yichen finished speaking, Chun Liao grinned. "That's easy. The director of the city TCM hospital is my grandpa's student. We'll go pick someone there. And we can't pick an ordinary patient. That won't show off my medical skills." Jiang Yichen nodded and didn't object. "However, I have to run my stall today. Can't lose my livelihood just to go play your boring little competition." Jiang Yichen's words infuriated Chun Liao. "What do you mean, boring little competition? This is a challenge between healers. How much do you make in a day? I'll cover it, okay?" Chun Liao refused to admit defeat. She had to compete today. "Deal. 300 is 300. Stingy, smelly man." Chun Liao grumbled, pulling $300 from her pocket and slamming it on the table. "Can we compete now?" "No problem. All right, let's head out right now." Chun Liao smiled smugly. "Where to?" "To the TCM hospital. To my uncle's place." "Ah, home field advantage, huh?" The two took a cab straight to the city TCM hospital. Upon entering, Chen Liao headed straight for the director's office. Hearing that his teacher's granddaughter had arrived, Director Fong, he hurriedly ran out. Liao, what brings you here? Uncle, I'm here to practice a bit, to find some patients to get some hands-on experience. After Chen Liao finished speaking, Fong, he was overjoyed and started sucking up profusely. My teacher's own granddaughter coming to help treat our patients is a true blessing for our city TCM hospital. After speaking, Fong Yi's gaze landed on Jiang Yichen. He frowned slightly, then asked with a grin, Liao has grown into a young woman now. Do you have a boyfriend? This comment stunned both Chen Liao and Jiang Yichen. They immediately understood he had misunderstood. Chen Liao blushed and quickly clarified. No, Uncle Zhang, you've misunderstood. This is my bodyguard. She thought for a long time, not knowing how to introduce Jiang Yichen. Finally, she just slapped her thigh and blurted out, Ugh, I don't even know how to say it. Anyway, hurry up and find us a patient with a difficult and complicated illness. The two of us need to settle who's better. Settle who's better? Hearing this, Fong, he realized what was going on. So this country bumpkin wasn't Chen Liao's boyfriend, but her opponent. Competing in TCM against Chun Biang's granddaughter? Wasn't that just bringing humiliation upon oneself? Hearing it was a competition, Director Zhang no longer gave Jiang Yichen any good looks either, especially since this guy was wearing street stall clothes, looking like a poor kid no matter how you sliced it. Then follow me. Fong Yi took the lead and walked ahead. Chen Liao motioned for Jiang Yichen to follow. But after searching high and low, Chen Liao felt all the patients were too ordinary. Since even Fong Yi could treat them in this hospital, how could they showcase the medical skills of Chun Biang's granddaughter? Chen Liao had a headache. Could today's competition not proceed? Just as she was feeling lost, call your director. What kind of garbage hospital is this? You actually tell me you can't figure it out. Suddenly, a rough roar drew everyone's attention over. As the director, Fong Yi naturally had to go see. The few of them went over. They saw a man in a black suit, loudly cursing. If anything happens to the old lady, I'll definitely make sure your TCM hospital pays dearly for it. Fong Yi frowned. Disturbances in the hospital were common, but coming to the TCM hospital to make trouble was probably picking the wrong place. He looked at the female doctor next to him. Xiao Chun, what's the situation? The female doctor surnamed Chun was pale with fright. She quickly explained, they brought an old lady in for treatment, but we really couldn't figure out what the problem was. We asked them to go to the city hospital for checks with professional equipment, but they refused and insisted on making a scene. This is a TCM hospital. Don't cause trouble here. Otherwise, I'm calling security. He would have been better off not saying that. As soon as the words left his mouth, the man in the black suit almost laughed to tears. Director Fong, right? What, you know me? Know you? Of course I do. Our Master Chun is an old acquaintance of yours. The man in black's words made Fong Yi pause, repeatedly pondering who Master Chun was. But the next second his eyes widened, and he gasped, Chen Haonan. The man in the black suit gave a cold laugh. Exactly. Fong Yi's whole body trembled. He immediately lowered his head and stammered, that patient is Master Chen's mother? After the man in the black suit spoke, Fong Yi completely lost his previous arrogance and could only smile apologetically. My staff here doesn't know any better. Brother, quickly take me to see her. The man in the black suit scoffed coldly and led the group over. It seemed this Chen Haonan was no ordinary person, but a big shot. Soon, Fong Yi followed the man in the black suit inside. Chen Liao pulled Jiang Yichen, and just as the two were about to follow, who would have thought that at this moment? The two bodyguards at the door would raise their hands to block them, shouting with cold faces, Idlers are not allowed in. I am Chen Biang's granddaughter. What do you mean, idlers? Chen Liao put her hands on her hips and snapped coldly. Chen Biang? Never heard of him. The bodyguard's remark made Jiang Yichen burst out laughing. Jiang Yichen just laughed. Smack! Chen Liao lifted her beautiful leg and stomped right on Jiang Yichen's foot, glaring at him fiercely. What are you laughing at? What's so funny? Jiang Yichen grimaced in pain, but didn't dare lash out. Chen Liao turned her head and shouted to Fong, Uncle Zhang, Uncle Zhang. Fong Yi had been so frightened by the man in the black suit that he had completely forgotten about them. Turning his head and seeing Chen Liao and Jiang Yichen, he finally remembered. Slapping his head, he hurried over. They're with us. After the two came in, they took a close look. Lying on a hospital bed was an old woman with an ashen face and purple lips. She seemed unable to catch her breath, wearing an oxygen mask over her mouth. Without a word, the man in the black suit raised his hand and made a gesture. Fong, he was very nervous, checking the old lady's pulse. He felt even more miserable. This pulse was a complete mess. Fong, he finally understood. Why? The hospital's doctors told them to go to the city hospital to get checked. This old lady was probably about to pass away. But thinking of Chun Haonan, Fong, he felt utterly miserable. If his mother died here, he'd likely have a very hard time for the rest of his life. Well, can you treat her or not? Fong, he didn't know how to answer. He thought to himself, treat my ass. It's hard to say if she'll even survive the day. What's wrong with you? If you can treat her, say something. The bodyguard in black was furious. He stepped forward, grabbed Fong by the collar, and cursed him viciously. This. Fong, he was sweating profusely, stammering at this crucial moment. Her pulse is very messy, and her life is in danger. I'm guessing it's severe asthma. Suddenly, a young girl's voice rang out. The man in the black suit dropped Fong and turned his head to look. By now, Chun Liao had already stepped up and sat beside the old lady, taking her pulse. Then how exactly do we treat it? The bodyguard in black didn't care about what it was, only about whether she could get better. Don't worry, I just need to needle her Ding Chuan. Feishu Tian Tu, Danzhong, and Kong Zue. Acupoints, and this condition can be relieved. Then you guys need to hurry and get her to the city hospital. After Chun Liao finished speaking, the man in the black suit breathed a sigh of relief. He was just afraid they wouldn't make it there in time. If something really happened to the old lady, he wouldn't be able to explain it. The bodyguard in black glared at Fong. You, an old director, are worse than a little girl. Fong, he felt bitter. Who said a director's medical skills must be brilliant? He hadn't seen a patient in years. Girl, hurry up and apply the needles. Chun Liao nodded, took out the silver needles, and was just about to make her move. Hold on. She doesn't have asthma. The men who were focusing intently, waiting for the treatment, were suddenly taken aback. Everyone turned around and glared fiercely at Jiang Yichen. And who are you? What are you yelling about here? The bodyguard in black was very annoyed. Chun Liao also had a headache. She had forgotten about this guy. This was the perfect chance to have their competition. Jiang Yichen, you say it's not asthma? Then what's the situation? It's very dangerous. It's cardiomegaly. It's already reached the stage of heart failure. After Jiang Yichen said this, Chun Liao was furious. You're talking nonsense. You dare assert it's heart failure without even taking her pulse? That is extremely irresponsible to the patient. Jiang Yichen just smiled. TCM stresses observing, listening, questioning, and feeling the pulse. Looking at her complexion, combined with the old lady being slightly plump and having a wealthy son, her current symptoms are almost exactly the same as a patient he treated before. Jiang Yichen was very sure that was heart failure caused by cardiomegaly. I'm very sure. After Jiang Yichen said this, Chun Liao was very displeased. At this critical moment, the bodyguard was put in a difficult position by these two. One said one thing, the other said another. Is it heart failure or asthma? Give me a straight answer. Chun Liao put her hands on her hips and glared at Jiang Yichen. Just as she was about to blurt something out, Feng Yi, who was standing to the side, rolled his eyes and grabbed Chun Liao, smiling as he said, This brother is an expert. How could a little girl's words count? The bodyguard in black didn't know what they were up to, but thought the words made sense. He nodded and said to Jiang Yichen, then hurry up and get to work. Jiang Yichen sighed. If it's cardiomegaly, I can't cure it either. What? Western medicine could do a heart bypass, but the risk is too great at her age. At most, I can help prolong her life. After Jiang Yichen said this, the man in the suit frowned, but still nodded. I'll leave it to you, brother. Without another word, Jiang Yichen pulled out his silver needles and got to work. Chun Liao wanted to speak several times, but was held down by Feng Yi every time. Uncle Zhang, what are you pulling me for? Feng Yi Fronit leaned in and whispered, Liao, listen to your uncle. Don't move carelessly and don't speak carelessly. You might not know who Chen Haonan is. He is the underground emperor of Linjiang City. If there's an accident, neither you nor I will be able to answer for it. Once this was said, Chun Liao was shocked to the core. Doesn't that mean? In that moment, it dawned on her. Feng, he didn't want to get into trouble, nor did he want Chun Liao to get into trouble. Now that a Jiang Yichen had jumped out, he He was trying to use Jiang Yiqin as a scapegoat. Chun Liao felt very uncomfortable inside. She looked at Feng Yi strangely, despising this kind of behavior. But even if her grandpa was powerful, he couldn't match Chen Haonan, right? Thinking this way, she looked at Jiang Yiqin again, feeling particularly bad inside. This guy probably won't live much longer. Jiang Yiqin moved very quickly, like performing magic. His hands constantly flashed back and forth, stabbing silver needles in one after another. Feng Yi and Chun Liao watched, dumbfounded, even doubting for a moment if this guy knew anything about medicine. They watched with their hearts pounding. Zhan Yishin's Nidul technique was like dancing on the Grim Reaper's blade. The slightest mistake, and it would all be over. Finally, all the silver needles were inserted. Jiang Yiqin exhaled heavily and wiped the sweat from his forehead. The people around him seemed influenced by his actions, also letting out long sighs of relief. The man in the black suit looked at Jiang Yiqin and asked, "Dr. Jiang is the old lady. Good to go now." As he spoke, they also looked at the old lady, who was still lying on the bed, with an ashen face and purple lips. It seemed nothing had changed. Jiang Yiqin nodded and wiped his hands. "It's done. You can call an ambulance and transfer her to the city hospital now." "All right." The man in the black suit gave a look to his subordinate at the door. Sirens wailed outside. The ambulance arrived, and a few people came to the scene. They were going to lift the old lady onto a stretcher and transfer her away. The crowd turned their heads, and all eyes landed on the old lady. Looking at her now, it was truly miraculous. They saw the old lady's face starting to turn rosy, and color returned to her lips. Only then did the man in the black suit breathe a sigh of relief. He cupped his fists and said, "Miracle, Dr. Jiang. On behalf of Master Nan, I thank you first. He will definitely come in person to thank you another day." Jiang Yiqin nodded as a polite response. He hurriedly led his men and rushed to escort the old lady to the city hospital. Only Feng Yi and Chun Liao were left in the hospital room. The two of them stood there awkwardly, rubbing their hands, completely won over by Jiang Yiqin. They had wanted to make him a scapegoat, never expecting he actually had the skills. Great. Now all the credit belonged to Jiang Yiqin. "Not bad, Jiang Yiqin. Didn't expect you really had the skills. I submit, you're indeed impressive." Chun Liao walked over and carelessly patted his shoulder, smiling very awkwardly and unnaturally. While packing up his silver needles, Jiang Yiqin looked at her and sneered. "I seem to remember someone calling me here for a competition. She even said if she lost this time, she'd stop feeling pulses. Otherwise, she wouldn't be able to get married her whole life." This unexpected slap in the face froze Chun Liao in her tracks. She blushed beet red, lowered her head, and muttered dissatisfiedly, "Who knows if you're definitely right? I say I'm right too. We have to wait for the results from the city hospital before we can decide who's better. Some people just can't afford to lose." Jiang Yiqin's remark made Chun Liao furious. She was just about to retort, "Who can't afford to lose?" But after thinking about it carefully, she decided against it. What if this punk actually gets some inappropriate ideas later and makes her honor the bet? After packing up, Jiang Yiqin cupped his fists. "Farewell. Hey, Miracle Dr. Jiang, please wait." At this moment, Feng Yi suddenly stopped him. Jiang Yiqin turned his head and glanced at him. "Is there something else?" "Well, about this. I want to hire you as a director at our hospital." Hearing this, Jiang Yiqin looked surprised. Feng Yi was very embarrassed. He had just saved Chun Haonan's mother. If he was a doctor at the hospital, they would strike it big. Also, today's events made Feng Yi see clearly that their hospital lacked someone with brilliant medical skills, who could treat difficult and complicated illnesses. "What do you say, Miracle Dr. Jiang? Won't you consider it? A base salary of 30,000. If you do well and make major contributions, I'll give you bonuses. How about it?" Feng Yi really wanted to recruit Jiang Yiqin, even offering generous compensation. Jiang Yiqin sighed, looked at Feng Yi, and politely said, "I'm sorry, Director Zhang. Actually, I also want to find a proper job, but I've been to prison." Once this was said, Feng Yi and Chun Liao both choked on their words, standing there dumbfounded. After all, when normal people hear ex-convict, they instinctively feel resistance. This was exactly what Jiang Yiqin had expected. He gave a self-deprecating smile, said nothing more, and left with his things. Chun Liao's face looked terrible, as if Shivi swallowed a dead fly. Jiang Yiqin had actually been in prison? Why exactly did he go in? Could it be that his medical skills weren't good enough before and he killed someone during treatment? The matter of hiring Jiang Yiqin could only be dropped. if others found out that the TCM hospital hired an ex-convict as a director? Wouldn't their reputation be ruined? Meanwhile, at the city hospital was very busy today. The entrance was grandly packed with parked Mercedes, and men in black were everywhere. Passers-by all guessed which big shot had come for an inspection. In the VIP ward, a gruff voice rang out, "Mom!" They saw a man with slick-back hair, dressed in a suit and leather shoes, Russian. The men in black suits, standing around, all nodded and called out, "Master Nan." The person who arrived was none other than Shun Haonan. His father passed away when he was very young, and his mother raised him single-handedly. In his youth, this man was daring and aggressive, building his current success step by step. After achieving fame and fortune, he felt he owed his mother and was a famously devoted son in Linjiang City. He originally had a multi-million-dollar contract to negotiate today, but as soon as he heard his mother was critically ill and in the hospital, Shun Haonan ditched his business partners and rushed over frantically. You can always make more money if it's gone, but if your mother is gone, it's a lifelong regret. Thankfully, after he went in, his mom was sitting there smiling, even peeling an orange. "Look at you, what are you panicking for? Mom is perfectly fine. Nothing's wrong," the old lady said with a chuckle. Shun Haonan let out a massive sigh of relief. That's good, that's good." After that, he got up, walked over to the man in the black suit from earlier, and smacked him backhanded across the face, even after taking the hit, with blood trickling from the corner of his mouth. That man still had to stand respectfully. Fucking useless. How the hell did you take care of the old lady? If anything happened to my mom, none of you would make it out alive. I'm sorry, Master Nan. All right. What are you hitting Sang Biao for? If he hadn't handled things properly today, your old mother would have been dead by now. The old lady quickly yelled. Shun Haonan was taken aback. What exactly happened? Sang Biao kept his head lowered and respectfully recounted the whole event. Hearing that if Jiang Yichen hadn't handled it properly and bought emergency treatment time for the old lady, she likely wouldn't have survived the trip to the city hospital, Shun Haonan also broke into a cold sweat. So you're saying it's all thanks to this Jiang Yichen? Shun Haonan looked at Sang Biao. He nodded. This guy was quite honorable. He didn't try to steal the credit. Of course, a bigger reason was because he still had things to arrange later. Seeing Shun Haonan, the old lady also sighed. This Jiang Yichen saved my life. Haonan, you must thank him properly. Okay, I'll definitely go find him when the time comes. Speaking of this, Shun Haonan arranged for a few people to look after the old lady, called Sang Biao over, and the two went together to ask the attending doctor about the situation. The attending doctor took the x-rays, placed them in front of Shun Haonan, and explained in detail, the old lady's living conditions are too good, and her cardiomegaly has become life-threatening. Right now, all we can do is figure out a way to perform a heart bypass surgery on her. Hearing this, Shun Haonan's eyelids twitched. A heart bypass? Doesn't that mean cutting her chest open and operating on her heart? At my mom's age, can she endure this surgery? Shun Haonan asked directly. This is also what I need to inform the family. The success rate is only 50%, the doctor said. Shun Haonan was furious. So you're saying there's only a half chance, and the other half is outright death? He slammed his hand hard on the table and roared. Quacks. What kind of garbage hospital is this? No way. I'm going to Xanadu for treatment. After saying this, Shun Haonan stormed out angrily. Sang Biao followed behind him the whole time, quietly reminding him, Master Nan, the medical facilities here are the best in the city. Even if we go to Xanadu, the result will probably be the same. What do you mean by that? Shun Haonan glared at him viciously. Master Nan, actually, Miracle Dr. Jiang had already predicted this. How so? Sang Biao relayed how Jiang Yichen and Shun Liao had different judgments of the old lady's condition at the time. He explained it once. And Jiang Yichen also said, Western medicine can only do a heart bypass, but might not work. You mean, Jiang Yichen has a way, so we can totally give it a try. After all, Chinese medicine is quite miraculous. Conservative treatment is better than risking surgery. Sang Biao didn't say it explicitly, but the old lady is already at this age. How much longer can she hold on? Rather than taking a risk, it's better to treat it conservatively. Every extra day she can live counts. Shun Haonan isn't stupid. Make the arrangements. I want to see Dr. Jiang. Right? Prepare a generous gift. Yes, Sang Biao agreed, and immediately went to get it done. Meanwhile, Jiang Yichen had just returned to his street stall, packing up and getting ready to head back. Unexpectedly, a Maybach pulled right up to the entrance and honked frantically at him. Jiang Yichen turned his head and glanced at the people in the car, ignored them, grabbed his bags, and turned to leave. The people in the car panicked. They opened the car door, and a middle-aged man ran out. Dr. Jiang, Dr. Jiang, Wanqing's cold poison is acting up again. She said she's feeling cold again today. Can you please help me? Save my daughter, please? The man was none other than Yi shouting. Originally, Yi Wanqing's illness wasn't supposed to act up this quickly, but looking at the gloomy sky today, it was probably going to rain. Sorry, I won't save her, Jiang Yichen replied bluntly, and turned to walk away. Yi shouting was miserable. Before, their whole family looked down on Jiang Yichen and deliberately used marriage to trick him. Once she was cured, they immediately turned their backs on him. Who could have thought that Yi Wanqing's illness would flare up so quickly? They had already looked for many people to treat her, and even went to invite Chen Bianc. But Chen Bianc answered very bluntly that there was nothing he could do for this illness, and only Jiang Yichen could cure it. Having no other choice, for his daughter's sake, he had to shamelessly come back. Jiang Yichen rejected him on the spot. Yi shouting looked in agony as Jiang Yichen walked away, and anxiously chased after him again. Dr. Jiang, I apologize to you for my family's previous offense. Please have mercy and save my Wanqing. I'll give you however much money you want. Anything your family says. I won't believe a single punctuation mark of it anymore. I am sorry. Miss Ye's life is precious, but my life isn't worthless either. I won't save her. Just then, Feng Wanting, who had been sitting in the car waiting for the result, and Yi Wanwan couldn't take it anymore, and both ran out of the car. Feng Wanting roared furiously. Jiang Yichen, don't you just want to raise the price? How much do you want? Name your price. You didn't want the 300,000 last time. Are you satisfied now? 3 million, flat rate. Cure my daughter. Yi Wanwan also chimed in to complain about Jiang Yichen. Do you have to use this as leverage? Does my sister really have to marry you for this to work? This family was arguing loudly on the street, drawing a lot of onlookers. Jiang Yichen kept a cold face, ignored them, and turned to leave. The mother and daughter panicked and rushed up, each grabbing one of his sleeves, shouting, Don't leave. You can't leave until we make things clear. Jiang Yichen was getting really annoyed. A mother and daughter in broad daylight, pulling and grabbing. What a disgrace. Aren't you annoying? Are you ever going to stop? Jiang Yichen scolded. Seeing that he actually dared to scold her, Feng Wanting instantly flared up. How can you be so shameless? You won't treat an illness just because their daughter won't marry you? Everyone, come judge for yourselves. Come tell me, is this how a doctor should act? This guy is absolutely lacking in morals. As she yelled and screamed. Surprisingly, quite a few people gathered around. When everyone asked what was going on, Feng Wanting told the story, adding her own twisted details. This kid has no conscience at all, treating a girl's illness. He takes advantage of her during the treatment, and afterwards demands that she marries him. Otherwise, he refuses to treat her. Hearing all this, the angry crowd started cursing Jiang Yichen for being a quack. Jiang Yichen was furious. He roared, I was treating an illness and saving a life. Besides, you were the ones who begged me to treat her. How can you falsely accuse me like this? Fine, since you were treating an illness and saving a life, then you should see the treatment through to the end, stopping halfway through the treatment. Extorting my daughter into marrying you. What do you call that? Feng Wanting took the opportunity to blackmail him. Jiang Yichen instantly got angry, looking at this shameless family. Did I take a single cent from your family for the treatment? That instantly choked them up. Didn't your daughter's symptoms improve? She only had 3 days to live. I saved her life and didn't take a dime. And now your family's trying to extort me, right? Jiang Yichen's sudden scolding left the onlookers completely dumbfounded. So he didn't ask for a single cent? So he really did save her life? Well, this is fucking awkward. Both sides are telling their own story. Who should they believe? Feng Wanting immediately said, I am the dignified president's wife of the Shengshi group. Why will my family try to extort a poor kid like you? You hillbilly, are you joking? As soon as she said this, the onlookers suddenly realized, right? They are so rich, they don't need to extort anyone. It must be this kid's fault. Quack. He's just a quack. Grab him and send him to the police station. These people started yelling and shouting again. The cursing made Jiang Yichen really angry. He flung his arm back and roared, Say whatever you want. I said I won't treat her, and I won't. As a result, because he was wearing cheap street stall clothes and flung his arms so hard, combined with Feng wanting pulling on it tightly, with a crisp, ripping sound, Jiang Yichen's sleeve was torn completely off. For a moment, everyone at the scene burst out, laughing so hard they almost cried. Jiang Yichen was furious, glaring viciously at Feng Wanting. She held up the half sleeve in her hand, curled her lips, and threw it disgustedly at Jiang Yichen. Poor loser. Even the clothes you wear cheap knockoffs. And a poor loser like you wants to lay your hands on. My daughter? Take a good look in the mirror. After Feng Wanting finished speaking, the crowd burst into laughter. Everyone said Jiang Yichen was biting off more than he could chew, a toad lusting after swan meat. Feng Wanting crossed her arms and said arrogantly, if it weren't for the fact that you have some skills, would I lower myself to beg you? You poor loser, do you really think you're so great? You're too full of yourself. Yi Shouting stood quietly in the back. Yi Wanwan also felt a bit embarrassed, feeling that her mother might have gone a bit too far. This was too much of a slap in the face. Feng Wanting pointed at Jiang Yichen's nose and scolded. Now I'm giving you two choices. Either cure my daughter, or be sent to the police station. Choose for yourself. Jiang Yichen didn't say a word, narrowing his eyes and staring straight at Feng Wanting. Feng Wanting didn't back down an inch. What are you looking at? You poor loser. You think you can fight the Yi family? Looking at your pathetic state. If we take this to court, you won't even be able to afford a lawyer. Just be a good boy and treat her illness. The surrounding people also jeered. Just go and treat her. The Yi family has been very merciful. They gave you another chance to be a decent human being. People were just like that. As soon as they saw the Yi family was rich, they all kissed up to them. Seeing that Jiang Yichen was poor, they all kicked him while he was down. Jiang Yichen was in a bit of a dilemma. But right at that moment, honk honk, suddenly, rapide. Series of car horns sounded from the front. Someone stuck their head out and roared. Get out of the way. Don't block the road. The crowd was stunned. They all turned around to see who was being so arrogant. One looked scared the living daylights out of them. A massive fleet of Mercedes-Benzes came roaring in. Looking at those consecutive license plates, it was actually the fleet of the underground emperor, Chun Haonan. Chun Haonan was incredibly famous in Linjiang City. He owned numerous nightclubs, bars, billiard halls, arcades, and every venue was guarded by his men. Plus, his network of connections was vast. He knew big shots up high and thugs down low. His fleet often drove back and forth across Linjiang City. Seeing consecutive Mercedes license plates meant it was undoubtedly him. It scared these people from making any reckless moves. They quickly cleared the way. Better to offend a gentleman than a thug. They were scared too, while everyone was wondering why the infamous Master Nan would appear here. What surprised them even more was that this fleet of luxury cars actually stopped right in front of Jiang Yichen's stall. Swish! The car doors opened in unison. A massive group of men in black suits stepped out and stood there respectfully. Sang Biao ran over and quickly opened the door of one of the Mercedes. They saw a man wearing a suit, with slick back hair and a cigar in his mouth, step out of the car, full of domineering aura, scaring everyone present so much they didn't dare to look him in the eye. Chun Haonan ignored the crowd, walked straight up to Jiang Yichen, and asked, "Are you Jiang Yichen?" As soon as he said that, the onlookers on the scene began to gloat. This poor guy is really something. He offended the real estate tycoon Yi Shouting, and now he's offended the underground emperor Chun Haonan. Ha ha, he's probably going to die a miserable death. Yi Shouting is a legitimate businessman. He wouldn't do anything drastic to him. At most, they'd end up in court. But offending Chun Haonan, he'd probably end up in a wheelchair at best, or dumped in the river at worst. Jiang Yichen took a look at Chun Haonan and nodded. Just when everyone was waiting for a good show, a miracle happened. Chun Haonan burst into laughter. He stepped forward, hugged Jiang Yichen, and said, "Bro, I've been looking all over for you. When I went to your house, your old man said you were still running your street stall. So I asked for directions and came here." What the? Everyone at the scene was completely stunned. Chun Haonan wasn't here to cause trouble, but to call him brother. Damn, this was a bit too much to process. Brother, I wouldn't be here if I didn't need a favor. I've already prepared a banquet at the Manhwa restaurant. You have to do me the honor of joining me. How about we eat and chat? Chun Haonan was very polite to Jiang Yichen. After all, he was asking for a favor. Jiang Yichen nodded, but then smiled bitterly and pointed at his sleeve. I'm a bit tied up here, and I probably need to go back and change. Hearing this, Chun Haonan paused and finally noticed a large group of people harassing Jiang Yichen. He immediately frowned, a cold glint flashing in his eyes. What? Is someone giving my brother trouble? As soon as he finished speaking, the frightened bystanders all collectively took a step back, afraid of being implicated. With them stepping back, Feng Vanting, Yidanyan, and his shouting stood out conspicuously. They stuck out like a sore thumb. Shen Haonan sneered, looking at the three of them. I wonder who it was. Isn't this Chairman Yi from Shengshi Group? Yi Shatin Similit Akardli, sweating profusely on his forehead. Legitimate businessmen like them were most afraid of dealing with people like him. How did my brother, Jiang Yichen, offend you? Feng Wanting was startled, just as she opened her mouth to speak. Yi shouting hurriedly pulled her back and smiled apologetically. It's a misunderstanding. Just a misunderstanding, that's all. Feng Wanting held back her words uncomfortably, her face as ugly as if she had eaten a dead fly. Chen Haonan just nodded and said coldly, It better be. I, Chen Haonan, am leaving these words right here. Brother Jiang Yichen saved my mother's life. Whoever gives him trouble is looking for trouble with me. As soon as he said this, the crowd gasped. The way everyone looked at Jiang Yichen completely changed. This poor loser has such good luck to actually hook up with Chun Haonan. Now the real estate tycoon Yi family is in a tough spot. They made a scene for ages only to be slapped in the face by Chun Haonan. What are they going to do now? What else could they do? Swallow their broken teeth and blood. After dropping the harsh words, Chun Haonan immediately put on a bright smile. Brother Jiang Yichen, please go ahead. Jiang Yichen glanced at the Yi families. Ugly expressions without saying a word. Turned around, got into the Mercedes, and amidst the crowd's chatter, left without looking back. Yi Shouting's family couldn't have been more embarrassed. The people around them were pointing and laughing. Yi Shouting just felt humiliated, quickly pulled his wife and daughter into the car, and fled in a panic. Once in the car, Feng Wanting complained, Hubby, what the hell are you doing? It's just Chen Haonan. Why are you so afraid of him? Yuan also looked confused. Dad, were we a bit too cowardly just now? Yi Shouting's face was livid. He complained as he drove. What do you women know? Legitimate businessmen who value harmony to make money. Can we afford to offend a guy like that? Tomorrow he goes to Shengshi Group's sales office to cause trouble. The day after he goes to your construction site and smashes the machines. Do you still want to do business? Feng Wanting choked on her words. Ye Yanyan snorted coldly. I don't believe it. Is this completely lawless? Can they really just run amok? Yi Shouting replied helplessly with a long face. Girl, you grew up under your parents' protection. So of course you don't know the darkness outside. Reality isn't as nice as you think. Yuan opened her small mouth, about to say something, but quickly thought about it, curled her lips helplessly, and stayed quiet. Meanwhile, at the five-star Manhwa restaurant, the table was filled with a lavish banquet. Yet only Jiang Yichen and Chun Haonan were sitting there. It was extravagant enough. Jiang Yichen looked at the table full of food and smiled bitterly. Mr. Su, this is way too extravagant. Two people can't possibly eat all this, right? Chun Haonan laughed out loud. You are my VIP guest. How can this be considered extravagant? Brother Jiang Yichen, I'm a bit older than you. How about you call me Brother Nan? All right, Brother Nan. I figure you're here because of the old lady's condition, right? Jiang Yichen knew what he was thinking and didn't beat around the bush. To save him from embarrassment, Chen Haonan nodded. My mom has heart failure, and they said she needs a heart bypass. Brother Jiang Yichen, your medical skills are brilliant. Let me know what your advice is. Actually, I suggest conservative treatment. What kind of treatment? Eat all bland diets. Avoid greasy, heavy, and spicy foods, coupled with Chinese medicine treatment. I believe the old lady can hold on for a very, very long time. Exactly how long, I can't guarantee. But dying of natural causes in old age won't be a problem. When Jiang Yichen said this, Chen Haonan let out a huge sigh of relief. He snapped his fingers at Seng Biao behind him. Song Biao nodded, brought up a black leather suitcase, and placed it on the table. He unbuckled the latch, and inside it was completely filled with cash. Brother Nan, what is this? Jiang Yichen looked at the suitcase full of money and asked curiously, Brother Jiang Yichen, here's 1 million. Please don't refuse it. You must accept it. My mom raised me since I was young. It wasn't easy. She's my only relative. You saved her. So to me, Chun Haonan, it's a life-saving grace. After Chun Haonan finished speaking, Sang Biao beside him also urged, "That's right, Dr. Jiang. This is a token of Master Nan's appreciation. Please accept it. The old lady will still be counting on you for treatment in the future." Jiang Yichen sighed, looked at Chun Haonan, and said helplessly, "Brother Nan, if you really treat me as a brother, then take this money back." Brother Jiang Yichen, to tell you the truth, I previously went to labor camp because of a woman. Chun Haonan was stunned. What exactly happened? Jiang Yichen explained the whole story from beginning to end. Chun Haonan was outraged. Damn it, there's actually such a shameless bitch. Saying this, Chun Haonan gave Sang Biao a look. Sang Biao, make some arrangements. Yes, Sang Biao immediately agreed. But Jiang Yichen grabbed Sang Biao and shouted, "Wait. Brother Nan, I thank you, but feelings can't be forced." Speaking of this, Jiang Yichen let go of his hand, picked up his wine glass, and took a sip. "Let me say this, Brother Nan. I'm not trying to gain sympathy, but I met a lot of underworld people while inside. I know, many people look at them through colored glasses, but this group of people aren't as bad as imagined. Do you know what I mean? I'm willing to build a deep friendship with you." That was indeed a very honest truth. As the old saying goes, the righteous are often butchers and dog meat sellers, while those who betray you are always scholars. Precisely because Jiang Yichen had this past, his words really hit Chun Haonan right in the heart. He didn't want to go down this path either. Wasn't he forced by circumstances back then? Step by step, walking up to today. Once you enter the underworld, trying to get out is just too hard. Chun Haonan sighed heavily, grabbed his wine. "Jiang Yichen, I accept you as a brother. Say no more. Everything is in this glass of wine." The two drank glass after glass, perhaps precisely because of Jiang Yichen's experience. They talked about everything. Getting drunk, they let out their emotions. Chun Haonan dismissed his men. The two talked about many, many things in the private room. When talking about the sad parts, his eyes even turned red, and tears streamed down his face. "I only had that one friend back then. He was killed by someone. I watched helplessly as he fell right in front of me, and there was absolutely nothing I could do. They all say Master Nan is so majestic, but they don't know I live in fear every day in Causeway Bay. First, I'm afraid of enemies seeking revenge. Second, I'm afraid of my subordinates turning on me. I live more tired than anyone else." Speaking of this, Chun Haonan wiped the corners of his eyes and said, "Let's not talk about it. Brother, it's just a bunch of bitter tears. Cool me. Let's have a drink." Jiang Yichen picked up his wine and downed it in one gulp. Looking at Chun Haonan, he asked, "Brother Nan, have you ever thought about changing your life?" "What do you mean?" "Do some legitimate business and return to the right path," Jiang Yichen advised him. He laughed, then shook his head and smiled bitterly. "How would I have the ability? It's not that I haven't tried before, but I kept losing money. I realized I'm not cut out for legitimate business. But I do." Jiang Yichen's words made Chun Haonan freeze. "Start a pharmaceutical factory. I have a prescription. Let's produce a new drug. It will definitely make money." "Prescription? What prescription?" Chun Haonan became interested, staring wide-eyed at Jiang Yichen. Jiang Yichen smiled, unhurriedly picked up a piece of green pepper and shredded pork with his chopsticks, and put it in his mouth. "Oh man, brother, don't keep me in suspense. Hurry up and tell me, what prescription is it?" "A cure for cerebral infarction." Chun Haonan choked. He was originally still blurry-eyed from the alcohol, but hearing this, he sobered up halfway. "Brother Jiang Yichen, don't joke around. Do you really have medicine for cerebral infarction? You have to know that on the market right now, there is absolutely no specific medicine for this. They're all just life-prolonging drugs. If there really is a drug that cures cerebral infarction, we'd absolutely strike it rich. It's true, I really do have it. We can manufacture this medicine. What do you think about opening a pharmaceutical factory?" Jiang Yichen turned his head and looked straight at Chun Haonan. As soon as he finished speaking, whoosh, Chun Haonan completely sobered up. He stood straight up. From these words, he had already sensed a massive business opportunity. This was a path that could completely lead to immense wealth. If they could really make a fortune and make it completely clean, who the hell would want to live a life licking blood off a knife's edge? Chun Haonan's expression shifted like a barometer. The look in his eyes towards Jiang Yichen was also hesitant. After a long while, "Brother, what do you want to partner up? I provide the prescription, you provide the capital. How about a 50-50 split?" After Jiang Yichen spoke, Chun Haonan gritted his teeth, slapped the table, and replied, "All right, Since you think so highly of me, Chun Haonan, how could I be so shameless as to take 50% from you? No, a 30-70 split is fine. Jiang Yiqin was stunned. He really didn't expect Chun Haonan to be so generous. Chun Haonan wasn't stupid. He already owed Jiang Yiqin a favor that he hadn't repaid. And now he was delivering a huge gift right to his door. How could he shamelessly accept it? If this prescription was real, plenty of people would be willing to invest and partner up. He wasn't short of options. If something went wrong with the prescription, with Jiang Yiqin holding 70% of the shares, he would naturally be the legal representative of the pharmaceutical factory and bear all the responsibility. Chun Haonan's calculations were quite shrewd. Jiang Yiqin naturally didn't expose him. With great power comes great responsibility. Soon, the two hit it off instantly. The deal was settled. After eating and drinking to their heart's content, he ordered his men to drive Jiang Yiqin back. Early the next morning, he sent someone to pick him up and take him to the hospital to treat his mother. Jiang Yiqin gladly agreed. After arriving at the hospital, he administered acupuncture to the old lady and wrote a prescription. He reminded her to eat a bland diet and consume less spicy food and salt. The old lady's face was rosy. She looked at Jiang Yiqin, chuckling, and the more she looked at this kid, the more she liked him, especially since Jiang Yiqin saved her life. Now, he was also acting as a god of wealth, bringing money to their family and leading her son onto the right path. It could be said he had done a favor for her, a favor for her son, and a favor for their entire family. The old lady held Jiang Yiqin's hand, grinning from ear to ear. She started by asking how old Jiang Yiqin was, and if he had found a wife yet. Jiang Yiqin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Old Lady Chun, whether it was her own idea or instructed by Chun Haonan, actually said, Jiang Yiqin, as soon as I saw you, I liked you a lot. Thank you, ma'am. Jiang Yiqin smiled slightly. Well, I want to take you in as my godson. What do you think? After beating around the bush for so long, the old lady finally spat it out. Hearing this, Jiang Yiqin was stunned on the spot, and Old Lady Chun looked dumbfounded. Chun Haonan was also surprised. What's wrong? Jiang Yiqin, are you unwilling? Was I too abrupt? Jiang Yiqin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He understood what was going on. Without a word, Jiang Yiqin immediately knelt down, banged his head in 3 loud kowtows, and respectfully called out, Godmother. As an ex-con, with a poor family background, if he could climb up using this path, why wouldn't he? Old Lady Chun was overjoyed. Help Jiang Yiqin up. Now I have 2 sons. Come, little Chun. This is a token of your godmother's appreciation. Please accept it. She directly handed him a red envelope. This was also customary. Jiang Yiqin didn't decline and accepted it. He politely said, Thank you, godmother. Chun Haonan walked over with a smile, raised his hand, and playfully punched Jiang Yiqin in the chest. Now we really are brothers. Brother, about our prescription. As expected, after all this fuss, this older brother was just waiting for his prescription. Jiang Yiqin nodded. He also knew that without showing off his skills, how could they believe him? We're right here in the hospital, and there are ready-made patients we can test it on. Jiang Yiqin ran to the pharmacy, fetched the medicinal herbs according to the prescription, and finally found a critically ill patient in the neurology department. It was an old man with very severe cerebral infarction, paralyzed in bed, unconscious, and unable to move. His breathing entirely relied on an oxygen mask. His family members sat beside him, accompanying him, looking dejected, and washing their faces with tears, hearing that this medicine could cure his illness. The family was overjoyed. Of course, they subsequently expressed their doubts. After all, medically speaking, there was no specific cure for cerebral infarction. This put Jiang Yiqin in a bit of a difficult position, even though he knew the medicine was fine. If the patient wouldn't cooperate, how would he treat them? At the critical moment, it took Chun Haonan stepping in. He directly called the family out for a private chat. They went out and talked for a while, and when they returned, they had agreed. Watching this made Jiang Yiqin's head buzz, but he didn't ask too much. After administering the medicine to the old man, everyone sat and waited for the results. But Jiang Yiqin wasn't in a hurry. He said this wasn't some magic elixir. They probably need to administer it once at noon and once at night, before seeing any effects. Chun Haonan was also bored, so they went back to his mother's ward. Jiang Yiqin asked him how he managed to get them to agree. Chun Haonan smiled. I told them, if it doesn't cure him or kills him, I'll send their whole family to reunite with him. So their whole family will be freed. Jiang Yichen choked upon hearing this. Finally, he smiled bitterly and shook his head. What a ridiculous society. And so they waited until that evening. An hour after the last dose of medicine was taken. Bang! Sang Biao burst the door open, ran in anxiously, and yelled, "He's awake, Master Nan. That old man is awake." Chun Haonan, who was sitting there with his legs crossed drinking water, visibly trembled. He suddenly stood up. He really woke up? He really woke up. He really is awake. Master Nan, Master Chun, you two need to go take a look. Chun Haonan turned his head and looked at Jiang Yichen, giving him a thumbs up. Brother, you are truly amazing. Let's go take a look. Jiang Yichen was very calm. This stuff isn't anything rare, okay? He had a whole bunch of rare things on hand. The two went to the ward. As soon as they entered and took a look, it was confirmed without a doubt. The old man, who had previously been in a deep coma, breathing very weakly inside his oxygen mask, had now opened his eyes. Although he couldn't speak and was still paralyzed there, his eyelids could blink. The old man's family, who previously refused no matter what, and demanded 1 million before agreeing to use the medicine, now all turned into devoted children. They all ran over and knelt in front of Jiang Yichen, tears and snot streaming down their faces, kowtowing like pounding garlic. Thank you, divine doctor. Thank you, divine doctor. Divine doctor, if it weren't for your medicine, my father would never have woken up in this lifetime. Jiang Yichen smiled and said politely, from now on, 3 doses of medicine a day. Keep taking them. He will improve in a week. In a month, he should be able to speak and move around. In half a year, he should be able to get out of bed. Yes. Thank you, divine doctor. Thank you, divine doctor. Divine doctor, about the prescription, could you? Just as they were asking for the prescription, Shen Haonan let out a cough. This stuff was going to make them rich. How could they give it to you? We'll prepare the medicine for you. Just take it regularly. Of course, don't worry, we won't charge a dime. After all, he's a test subject and requires long-term observation. Shen Haonan was very generous. That family was overjoyed. Free treatment without spending money? Where else could you find such a good deal? After Chen Haonan and Jiang Yichen came out, they bumped head-on into the attending physician of the hospital. He was yelling wildly, "It's a miracle. This is an absolute miracle. Quick, put up a banner. Just say that a patient with severe cerebral infarction woke up after treatment at our hospital." This made Chen Haonan very unhappy. But he also knew that developing this medicine, getting the company open and approved, and launching it onto the market would take a long time. He could only let it go. Looking at Jiang Yichen, he smiled and asked, "Brother, how much money do you think is appropriate to invest in this company?" "Brother, invest as much money as you have." Jiang Yichen's answer made Chun Haonan choke. To invest all his money? Does my brother not trust me, or not trust my medicine? Hearing this, Chun Haonan gritted his teeth, steeled his heart, and said, "Fine, I'll invest 70 million right now." Jiang Yichen laughed and patted his shoulder. "Brother Nan, trust me, this 70 million will absolutely multiply tenfold." "Good, I believe you." Chen Haonan agreed, and immediately went to arrange to squeeze out all his money, while also utilizing his connections. Things moved really fast. The company was quickly registered. Then came the search for production equipment, and on the other hand, registering trademarks. These things took time, but that wasn't for Jiang Yichen to worry about. Every day, he just ran back and forth between the hospital and home, helping his godmother, old Lady Chun, with her acupuncture treatments. With this godson keeping her company, her biological son naturally had more time to keep busy. Until one day, old Lady Chun suddenly brought up finding a wife for Jiang Yichen. Hearing this, Jiang Yichen choked right then and there. He smiled awkwardly and replied, "Godmother, I don't have such thoughts yet." "How can that be? Men should marry when they're of age, and so should women. You're not young anymore. It's time to find a wife. Which family's daughter have you caught your eye on? I'll go put in a good word for you." Jiang Yichen really felt embarrassed to say anything. "What's wrong? Godmother has been through it all. One look, and I can tell you have someone in mind." "Which family's daughter is it?" "Godmother, all right. Don't worry about this anymore. Just focus on resting and recovering here." Jiang Yichen helped old Lady Chen back on her hospital bed. "I'll come see you again tomorrow." All right. You and your older brother are just the same anyway." Both finding this old lady nagging. Old Lady Chun complained as she lay down. "Not at all. You're just doing it for our own good, right?" "Oh, right. Tomorrow I'll boil a pot of nourishing soup for you. I guarantee it will make your face rosy and make you look decades younger. Then people will even say my godmother is my sister. Hee hee, you brat. You sure know how to sweet talk. Jiang Yichen walked out the hospital doors, just getting ready to head home, when a Porsche 911 parked right there. Yu Wanwan stood with her arms crossed, looking coldly at Jiang Yichen, looking as if someone owed her millions. But unexpectedly, Jiang Yichen pretended not to see her and walked straight past her. Yivanyan roared angrily. Hey, didn't you see me standing here? What does that have to do with me? Yu Wanwan stomped her foot in anger and quickly ran over. Do you really not care if my sister lives or dies? She truly considered you a friend. Jiang Yichen gave a cold laugh, disdaining to answer at all, turned around, and continued walking forward. Yu Wanwan really had a headache. This guy was simply a monster, hard-headed and stubborn, refusing money, immune to threats. Having no other choice, Yu Wanwan stomped her foot. Jiang Yichen, you win. My sister will marry you. Jiang Yichen immediately stopped in his tracks. Yi Wanwan's teeth itched with hatred. Really wanted to kick to death this bastard who kicks people when they're down. This son of a bitch taking advantage of their misfortune. What are you saying? Jiang Yichen asked indifferently. I said you've achieved your goal. Our family has discussed it. As long as you can cure my sister's illness, she will marry you immediately.